crazy. Time flies. Time flies. Hey everyone, it's Abby Andrew and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be all about the process of how I made my Musa Winx Club cosplay. This is actually one of the first cosplays I've ever made entirely from scratch. If you check out my channel, I also have a video about how I made my Stella Winx Club costume, and with that one I was a little bit newer to sewing, so I actually made some of the pieces and then ended up buying some of the pieces like the shorts because I wasn't confident enough to make the shorts for Stella because that was years before I made the Musa costume. But this Musa costume I made a couple months ago just in time for either Comic-Con or Anime NYC, I can't remember now. But I was actually able to successfully make the whole thing from scratch, and I think it's actually because this costume is a little bit easier to make in my opinion, only because I think skirts are much easier for me to make at least than shorts. I still have never tried to make a pair of shorts, so I'll save that for another video. But something else I want to say right off the bat with this video is that I am a pretty novice sewer, so if you're someone who's maybe not an expert sewer but you know the basics, then this is something you should be able to accomplish yourself, because I myself am not the most experienced seamstress, so if you only have minimal sewing skills, then I feel like you could also make this yourself too. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into the process of how I made my Musa Winx Club cosplay. So here it is right here. It looks really tiny when it's all folded up because of course Winx Club outfits are super small. You could also modify them to be more modest if you choose to change the shape a little bit, but I tried to make it as close to the character as possible. So I will try it on in just a moment so you guys can see how it looks on, but here we have the one strap top that she has in the really pretty shimmery fabric. This fabric I got from a website called coquetryclothing.com. It has the most beautiful holographic shimmery fabric, and I've never seen any other fabric that in my opinion seems as fitting for a Winx Club cosplay as their fabric. I used their orange one for the Stella costume, and I used this gorgeous shimmery, like kind of like holographic sparkly red fabric for Musa's. Of course you could also use something like a red sequin fabric or something like that, but I just found this kind of like shimmery smooth fabric to just be a little bit more fitting than like a sequiny fabric would be, but I think either would work. So here's that one strap tank top. As you can see, I kept the sheer part that goes over the stomach detached. Here is the tube skirt, which also looks a lot better on because I wanted to add these kind of ruches in the fabric where you kind of like bunch it up on a side, so it looks a lot better on. You'll see it in a moment. And I admit I did cheat a little bit. I was just saying how I made every single part of this costume from scratch, but I did cheat a little bit here. I actually had this like red lingerie piece that I got from a thrift store for super cheap, and it was a piece that I can just wear on, but then it has this long kind of, it was also like a long red dress sheer thing, so I actually wear that underneath the two pieces and then like kind of pin it all back so it's more form-fitted, and then I can just wear this under the costume and it's much easier. But of course if I didn't find this, then I probably would have just sewn this sheer part to the top and then kept it detached from the bottoms and then kind of tucked it into the bottoms once I put the skirt on. But this just made it a little bit easier. So for the shirt, you're gonna wanna take any sort of top that fits you really well and is more form-fitted. So for this one, I actually traced my top that I made for Stella because I was going for the exact same shape. But of course, if you don't already have a Stella cosplay to work with, then if you have any sort of similar one-strap top, or if you even have like a sports bra, because that's kind of the shape and size that you're going for, you can kind of just trace around the sports bra, only tracing one of the arms, and then just kind of go down and around so you have the shape of a one-strap top. You're gonna want to cut out two pieces of fabric with this shape. Of course, make sure that you are cutting out two pieces that will be able to go with the insides touching each other. I actually first cut out two of them going the same direction, so when I tried to sew them together, I had the sparkly side on the inside for one side, so make sure that you have the pieces kind of facing the right direction that you want them to be once they're sewn. Then you're gonna go ahead and use your pins to kind of hold everything together so that when you're sewing it, it just stays straight. And then at that point, you can just run it right through your sewing machine and it should just fit nicely. But once you put it on your body, you can also see if you need to make any adjustments. So if it's still too loose in any areas, then you can go ahead and pin it a little bit tighter and then re-sew that hem. Big note here is whenever you're cutting out pieces to make a shirt out of or any garment, you want to make sure you're leaving a seam allowance, so always leave a couple of additional inches on the outside of the shape that you want because that's where you're going to stitch. Whereas if you only cut it to the exact size that you want it to be, then it's going to be a little bit smaller once you stitch it. For the skirt, I did something similar with tracing, as I just took a form-fitted kind of pencil skirt, anything that fit the way that I want the skirt to fit ultimately, and I traced that again. So with this, it was much easier. Like I was saying, making this kind of skirt is much easier than making shorts, for example, because you're only really cutting out two pieces of fabric that are exactly the same. Once I cut them out, it pretty much just looked like two rectangles of fabric, so it was very, very simple. I actually ended up making a mock version of it out of my Stella fabric that I had left over. I had very limited amount of Musa fabric because I think I only bought 1 yard total, and with Stella I had purchased 2 yards originally, I believe, so I had a lot of leftover. But I do recommend making a mock-up, but make it on something like old fabric or a bed sheet. Once I was trying on the skirt a bunch, I liked the idea of just making it more of a ruched fabric. I just thought that would be more flattering on my body because I kind of look like a plank when I'm wearing anything. I don't really have a lot of curves going on. So you could just leave it as is, flat. I was experimenting with adding these little ruches, so what I did was I kind of bunched up the fabric and used pins to hold it in place, and then just ran the sewing machine through those ruches, so it just kind of held like that. There's probably tutorials that will tell you how to do that much better. A lot of times when I sew, I just kind of like try things and see if they work. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and I feel like this ended up coming out kind of cute. And for the finishing touches, make sure that you sew your hems. So just flip up the hem just maybe like 1 inch and then just sew over it to have that clean edge. A lot of times it might look good to have a thread that matches your fabric if you want it to be hidden. I had white fabric in my machine and I actually thought that looked pretty cute over the red, so I just stuck with the white. I'm gonna go ahead and put the costume on so you can see what it looks like, and then I'll also go into all the accessories that I used as well. Here's the cosplay wig that I used for my music cosplay. It's definitely one of those super cheap Amazon wigs, but I think it worked nicely for the music cosplay. With cosplay wigs, I feel like you can go one of 2 routes. You can go for like a more realistic, real-life version of the cosplay hair, or you can go for one that you really want to look like the cartoon just popped off the paper and is in real life. So I feel like with Musa's hair, I interpret it as like black hair, but you could also get a dark blue wig as well because it's painted that way in the cartoon. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments below. I will link this wig in the description below. It's an Amazon wig. It's not the best quality, but I think it actually worked really well for this costume. It was kind of more on the side of tangling easily, and it was also really shiny, so I put a lot of translucent powder in it, and I also used some of this spray from Renee of Paris called Revive Liquid Enhancement, which really helps with tangliness and static. And I just went ahead and put it in ponytails. With this wig, you also definitely have to be wary of the wefting showing. I had to do a little bit of like crisscrossing with the hair here because that can help cover up the net, but a lot of times that's something you need someone to help you do. I was really struggling with this the day of the con, so maybe even do it the night before if you have time. And to add the finishing touches, I just took little strips of this sparkly red fabric and I just put it over top of the hair ties and just wrapped it around and tied it in the back just to have that red fabric incorporated into the hairstyling. For the Musa headphones, I just got these super ridiculously cheap headphones on Amazon that are purple because she wears purple headphones, and I just cut off the wire and I used those as my Musa headphones, and I feel like that really ties it together. For my Musa shoes, I used these red go-go boots that I got off Amazon as well. For my Stella cosplay, I actually made boot covers using the same fabric that I made the costume out of, so if you want to see how I did that, you can go over to the Stella video that I made, because that is another option. If you have go-go boots like this but they're not the right color, you can make fabric boot covers, and it's also a nice way to incorporate the sparkly fabric onto the shoes as well. In this case, I liked the look of the red vinyl with the costume, so I just chose to go with that as a stylistic choice, and I use these for so many other cosplays. Like I've used them for my One Punch Man cosplay and for my Tokyo Mew Mew cosplay, so these are just kind of very versatile with a lot of cosplays. And the last piece I will talk about here are my Musa wings. For my Stella cosplay, I never, to this day still, have not attempted to make Stella wings. I really want to do that in the future, but for my Musa cosplay, I really wanted to try to make the character accurate Musa wings. I am pretty happy with how they came out, but my biggest problem was that I used a wire that is too flimsy, so even though they hold the shape right now, especially, like this would be fine for a photo shoot, especially walking through a crowded con, these were just getting destroyed. People were just constantly bumping me, and every time they did, the wire would bend super easily, they would just lose shape, so I was really happy to have someone there with me who was able to kind of like keep an eye on my wings and make sure they were in the right shape. You can follow what I did here and it'll come out okay as long as you use a sturdier wire, and I will make a whole other video about this when I do it right, and then I will teach it properly then. But what I did is I just took the wire, put it in the shape of the wings that I wanted. Then I used the sheer fabric. This is actually a table runner that I used to make my Elsa cosplay. I just had it left over from that and I thought it would be really good for a wing material. Then I just covered it in this light purple ribbon first, so it wrapped all the way around, and I wanted to just cover any of that wire on either side. So I just put it all the way around the back of the wing. And then I feel like it didn't look clean enough. That's how it looked originally with just the one ribbon. To finish off the front of it, I also put this smaller dark purple ribbon around the edges as well. Another thing I didn't quite figure out for these is how to put them on. So this is actually going to be a struggle to put on right now, but I just took more of that purple ribbon and like tied arm straps. It ended up working for the con, like it made it through the con. The wings did not get destroyed, but it was definitely a hassle, and I needed a wing tech the whole time to kind of watch out for my wings, help me get them on and off, and help reshape them every time someone bumped into me. Something else you could see, they droop like crazy, and that's again just because I used wire that was too flimsy. Here's how they're supposed to look. That's not bad, they're just rotating a little. You get the idea. Follow a different tutorial for the wings, please. So here is the final costume. So of course, if I look closely at some of the stitching doesn't look quite right because my sewing machine kept messing up. The wings I'm clearly having issues with. The costume certainly isn't the type of quality you would get from like buying it at a costume store, but ultimately, I think it looks really, really great. Like if you're not looking at the fine details, it doesn't look like it's super cheaply made. And it's also just a really nice feeling to go to a con in something you made entirely yourself. I also do occasionally buy cosplays if it's something that I feel like I'm not capable of making and I want to do that character. I don't see anything wrong with buying cosplays if crafting isn't something you enjoy doing. But for me, I always do like to challenge myself and at least try to make a cosplay if I think I'm capable. And in this case, I was super, super happy with how it came out. Even though the wings didn't come out entirely perfectly as much as I would like them to, they still looked really cute in pictures and they made it through the con, and that's all that matters. And hopefully next time I make wings, I will learn from the mistakes that I made and bring them into my future Winx Club cosplays. Everything that I used to make this costume, I will link it in the description below or on my blog. I always make blog posts of all the different cosplays that I make on my website with all the materials that I use, so if you decide to make this costume for yourself, you have everything listed right there. Also, apparently Winx Club, like Winx Club Official, is starting to release Winx Club branded templates that you can use, which is super, super cool. They actually just sent me 2 of them, one for Stella and one for Bloom, and I'm definitely going to make full videos trying out those templates in the future, but I will link those below. So if you want to get templates for Bloom or Stella, and I think they're slowly releasing all the other girls as well, then you can use the template. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to use any of the tips that I mentioned in this video to try to make your own Winx Club costume. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Abby Andrew, to get more cosplay tutorials, wig videos, fashion videos, and a lot of Winx Club videos for some reason. I make a lot of Winx Club videos, so if you like Winx, give me a subscribe, a like, all that fun stuff. Also stay tuned because I'm definitely going to use those official Winx Club templates for Stella and Bloom to make videos on those very, very soon. So subscribe below if you want to see those videos once they come out. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.